If you are a content creator, for you, coming up with the idea is probably the easy part. And then figuring out how to shape it, how to share it, how to put the message out there might be the difficult part. For years, every single time I would write a new book, and I've written 20 plus of them, every time I would create a new course, I've created 50 or more of those. I would almost have to start from scratch, figuring out how am I going to shape this? How am I going to share this? How am I going to get the word out there about this so that people know to come hear what it is that I really think that they need to hear? You might have felt like that. You, as a communicator, have a message that solves a problem people have, or it steps them closer to their true potential. They absolutely need to know what it is that you share. But again, coming up with the idea is easy. Sometimes figuring out how to shape it and share it and get that content out there, that's a little bit more difficult. Content Creation Made Simple outlines 7 essential skills and systems that, as a content creator, you can implement immediately to get better results in that area. Because for most people, coming up with the idea is hard. You've got that, you've nailed that. You just need the systems and the processes to move things forward. Let me review some of them for you and maybe give you a little bit of vision about what this could accomplish for you. Skill number 1 is working in time blocks. For years, I found I was working in what I'll call little time slices or time slivers and really wasn't getting as much done. When I started working in these time blocks, it really freed up my mental space. And what we'll show you is it's not just the block of time, it's what specifically you do during that time, and then having specific benchmarks of what you will achieve, and then you just move on to another day. Now, many people say, well, I can't do that. That's constraining. That just kind of holds me down. You can always change the schedule. You can always adjust it to what suits you best. However, having that time reserved for you and for your message, it will do wonders helping you amplify what you want to share with other people. Skill number 2 is to recycle everything that you create. Just by way of an example, several months ago, a friend of mine, also named Andy, he had a book that was 10 years old. I thought it was about 2 or 3. He also had another book that was about 5 years old. And we took one of those books, we repackaged it, we relaunched it, and it was astounding because he had been giving that book away absolutely free, just handing it to people at all of his events. But we created a sales page for that book where people paid the shipping and handling, they would get it. We also had a situation where they could purchase for a small upgrade the audiobook. And then when they went into that sales sequence, after entering their credit card information, we did what's called bumps and upsells. Now, a bump is just a low ticket item, kind of point of sale purchase. Upsells are all those things that happen after you do the checkout, like on the thank you page. And what ended up occurring was, well, first of all, he generated thousands of dollars in revenue off a book that was 10 years old. And he was able to repurpose old courses, old live events, old masterminds, keynotes, old talks. We took some video and turned it into audio courses. Effectively, he didn't need to create anything new. He was sitting on, and you might be sitting on, a gold mine of assets. Your old ideas, your old books, your former courses, your speeches, your talks. If you're a pastor and you've been recording everything, all of the stuff that you have, those are assets that can be repurposed in multiple ways, and you can sell them or you can give them away, whatever you want to do. However, the newest person coming into your ecosystem has no idea about the entry point that you had years ago. And so repurpose it, reshare it, lead them along that journey. And he was able to welcome new coaching clients. He was able to increase revenue and reach a broader audience. So we did that with the second book. Now he's writing a third. Skill number 3 is to create a filing system for all of your assets. Now think about it like this. If you can't find it or your team can't find it, you can't repurpose it. You can't use it. Several years ago, I was running the digital footprint for a coaching organization. And the first thing I decided to do was watch all of the videos, read all of the books, and go through all the audio training of this coach that I know that has phenomenal, top level information and training. Here's what I found out though. It was absolutely a disaster trying to locate everything. Some of it was in Dropbox, some of it was in Google Drive. None of it had a specific way to name it or organize it. Some of it was stored on Vimeo, some of it was hidden private, hidden on YouTube. I pulled it all together and then we were able to package it and then sell some of it as courses for $400 or $500. Later on, he was able to take that same content and repurpose it into a book as a low ticket entry item. He was able to sell the course again, $400 to $500, making $2,500 to $3,000 just passive revenue coming in consistently off of something that was repurposed, that skill too, from a long time ago. However, without the filing system in place, it had been evaporated. So now he repurposes it, makes more information, eventually does more live events. He's able to bring in more clients, serve people at a higher level, this high ticket item, also at a lower, easier entry level by repurposing it into books. Here's what happens if you don't have a good filing system. You can't use it, and as a result, you lose money that was just left on the table. The assets I found from this coach had been sitting there for years. Now think about what would happen if we went back and had that years ago and could have repurposed all that into social media, could have repurposed all of that into a course, into live events, into books, training, coaching groups, masterminds, as eventually occurred. So all that lost revenue on the table. And think about how many man hours were paid for in the past creating that content. How many man hours were lost of people looking for it and then eventually giving up? You see, when you don't have a good filing system, you leave time and money on the table that could be used to drive your message forward. Now, skills 4 and 5 have to do with social media. As much as I wish we could just, let social media disappear and be done, it's not going anywhere, at least for the foreseeable future. We always teach that email and text is better, but there is a place for social media, so you're going to have to get used to using it. However, you don't want to, there's that phrase, let the tail wag the dog, where you're letting kind of a small feature override everything else that's going on. And so often I see people do that with social media. A couple years ago, I was consulting a local ministry, and I walked into the office, and 2 staff people had been running back and forth all morning with an administrator. So it's occupying 3 people's time, 3 hours of 3 people's time to do one social media post because they knew they needed to put something online and they were desperate to get it out there, and no one could really figure it out with a degree of confidence. If they would have had a content calendar that they created on their terms, based on how they serve people, based on what they know needs to get out there, and it's so easy for you to do. We provide the training and provide a template here for you. If they would have had that, they would have known weeks, months ago what to say that day, and they could have scheduled it. In fact, we show you how to schedule 30 days of social media. I don't even say 30 days of good social media in just 3 hours or less. And that includes the time you respond and interact with people. When you do this well, it enables you to serve people regularly, to interact with people that don't yet know you, and it doesn't become the overriding thing that occupies all your time. The second thing we do with social media is show you how to actually do stories and reels with less stress. So you'll know exactly what to say, when to say it, based on the content that you have and based on the message that you have. Skill number 6 is use a template for every single thing that you absolutely can. Now, as a communicator, you got into this because you want to focus on the content, not the container. Yet so often what we find ourselves doing is tinkering with the container, not the content, tinkering with the style and all that, not the substance. The substance is what matters. Well, so we can easily spend hours on websites and messing with landing pages, trying to figure out how to do an email sequence or email funnel. Social media, that's a big one. Blogs, podcasts, other platforms, those are all simply containers. Even books and editing software, containers, you want to focus on the content. And when you figure out how to build a template and literally use a template for every podcast that you do, use a template for every blog post that you're going to create, every social media post, have some kind of template, every email that you're going to send, everything that you do. We use templates for books, for schedules, for slides, for courses, for once you implement using templates, you've got great containers that do exactly what you want them to do. You can then focus on the content, which is your highest and best use of time. And it is why people want to know what you have to say. People aren't following you because of the container. They're into what you have to say because of the content. Finally, skill number 7 is to learn how to build a system for almost everything that you do. Some things can't be systematized, most can. And what we see is most scheduling tensions, people tensions, those are really systems tensions in disguise. A system is simply a tool, a resource, an automated process that will almost on autopilot move things from where they are to where you want them to be. They'll take them from where they are to where they're designed to be. And once you learn the power of a system and how you can literally implement them all across everything that you're doing, content creation becomes ultra simple. You've got a message to share. People need to hear it. I was talking with my dad in my living room back there not too long ago. He's a fantastic speaker, and he said, the ideas, they're really easy for me. They probably are for you too. He said, what's difficult is all the other stuff. So difficult, I don't even want to mess with it. Now, he doesn't have to. He's in his 70s, and he gets other people like me to mess with it. Or my mom, I've helped my mom learn some of these processes. She loves it and does it. Here's the deal. You can focus on the idea. But in order to grow your influence and to get your message out there to other people, you're going to have to implement some of these skills. The good news is you can learn these yourself and you can do them, or you can get the information, you can pass it on to people in your team. These are skills. They're not character traits, they're not attributes, they're not personalities, even though you might have a disposition to certain things and other people might not. They are skills, meaning that you can learn them, I can learn them, your team member can learn them, and as a result, more people can hear your message. Okay, so take advantage. The book is down below. The audio book, some bonus resources are there for you. The course is available. I'll see you inside. You've got something to share. We want to make sure that people hear what you have to say.